Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday's Thought for the Day. Well, it was my birthday last Friday, and I've just entered my 70th year. I'm not 70 yet, but I'm in my 70th year, so I was 69 on Friday, and I'm thinking the next one is the big one. And I've said that as each decade has come round. From when I was 40, that was the big one. When I was 50, that was the big one. When I was 60, that was the big one. And I suppose we see these times as milestones in our lives by which we measure our life. Not just in terms of the years, but the things that have happened in those times. And when I was younger, I would hear older people remark on how time goes so quickly, and I couldn't really understand them. I suppose I was looking at from the perspective of a 10-year-old for whom the school summer holidays seemed like a glorious eternity. But now I understand their perspective because I've joined them, and I measure time now by such things as my grandchildren growing up. 5 minutes ago I was cradling their newly born form in my arms, and now the eldest has just started senior school. And I've lived long enough to know that all of life's milestones are crossroads where we have to let some things go to enable growth, to enable us to move forward. And there's a poem I'd like to read you by C.D. Lewis that I suppose I was thinking of my daughter and my grandchildren when I read this. It focuses on letting our children go to enable them to grow in the world, but I think it can be applied to a range of life situations, including our own aging. And I'll just read it to you. It's 18 years ago, almost to the day. A sunny day with the leaves just turning. The touchline's new rule since I watched you play your first game of football. Then like a satellite wrenched from its orbit, go drifting away. Behind a scatter of boys I can see you walking away from me towards the school, with the pathos of a half-fledged thing set free into a wilderness, the gait of one who finds no path where the path should be. That hesitant figure eddying away like a winged seed loosened from its parent stem has something I never quite grasped to convey about nature's give and take, the small, the scorching ordeals which fire one's irresolute clay. I have had worse partings, but none that so gnaws at my mind still. Perhaps it is roughly saying what God alone could perfectly show, how selfhood begins with a walking away, and love is proved in the letting go. I just think that's such a beautiful, bittersweet poem. And a few years ago, my dad was in respite residential care for a period of time after he'd been in hospital. And I would go to visit him several times in the week. And one day I went to see him, and he was sitting in the lounge with all the other residents, and I went to sit next to him. And after a short time, there was a changeover in staff, and the new member of staff who'd come on duty went round each person to greet them. And after she'd greeted my dad, she came to me and took my hand and said, "Oh, you must be new since I was last on duty. How are you settling in?" And that it was said in that voice that I felt was a tad over sympathetic and a bit patronising, if I'm honest. And I felt as though I was being talked down to. I was so shocked I couldn't speak, and she thought I was upset, and she took my hand and began to try and comfort me. Meanwhile, my dad couldn't speak for laughing, until he eventually managed to blurt out, "He's my son, he's just visiting me." And after much profuse apologising from the staff member, I was eventually able to see the funny side along with my dad. But I didn't like how it made me feel helpless, in addition to the fact that it was about 15 years ago, so I was only in my mid-50s. I was indignantly fighting the idea that I was old. I'm sure those who are older than me at the minute will recognise that feeling. And am I wiser at the age I find myself? Maybe in some things, but not many. I'm still learning about the world, still learning about myself, still at this point have a thirst for knowledge and understanding, still have a great thirst to know Jesus, to grow in the knowledge and wisdom he would wish for me, to grow into the person he intended. I'm still growing, I'm still growing. And that might seem odd to say at such a late stage, or a late age, should I say. And I can hear some say, well, if you haven't made it by now, you're never going to make it. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. It isn't the way of the world. It's not a tick box endeavour where you tick things off and then you've achieved everything. It's a whole life journey that involves the whole of our being. I'm not there yet, but I'm travelling. And there have been battles along the way. I've taken other paths sometimes, but by the time I meandered back to the path, Jesus was always waiting at the crossroads for me to walk with me on the journey. And I've often asked, why do you even bother with me? And time again, he's told me, you are worthy. You are worthy. Even when I refused to believe it, when I couldn't believe it, he kept telling me. And however you feel today, you have to know that you are worthy in his eyes, and hold on to that. For me, what do I want for my next few years? Well, I want to walk always in this life as his disciple. I want to continually learn from him, trying to live my life like him, loving God more and loving my neighbour more and being thirsty for more. That's where life's pathways, life's milestones have brought me, and I'm excited at the prospect of where that path might take me in the next few years with Christ as a constant companion. I'll speak to you next Thursday, and you just look after yourselves, and God bless, and remember, you are worthy. Bye-bye.